Here we go. This is Aloha CBD. You guys have seen me taking it before. This is actually the Ben Gravy model. If you're interested in getting some CBD, we're going to do one of those affiliate code things. So all the information will be on the screen here. Dreamers, thanks Aloha CBD.
Oh, headphones on or what?
Ooh, if you like the vibes, you put the headphones on. Hold on. Uh-oh, that was quick. Hello?
This might be... Are you just editing right now?
We're in a podcast.
Okay, Ben, this is an important thing.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are. Welcome back to the Fully Nuking podcast. Today, we have an extremely special guest, Blair Conklin, ladies and gentlemen.
What number podcast is this?
I don't know. Double digits.
Okay. I was feeling kind of honored if this was, I was one of the early guys.
Well, all the ones, I've never had a guest, really.
Okay.
I mean, I've had like Mackie and stuff, but I've never had an out of town guest. So the vibes are proper right now. Me and Blair had a nuts week, and it's gonna get a nutser. We're on the Cat Surf Get Wet tour. Get Wet Worked tour.
Yeah.
We're getting worked. It's been 4 days of mayhem. How do you feel, Blair?
Man, it's been good to get a little waves in between because you need a little break every once in a while. So today we got some fun stuff down at El Slammo. That's kind of break reminds me a little bit of my home spot. So
Really?
every time I get the chance to do a couple run-ins at El Slammo, I get pretty excited.
Dude, you kind of surprised me today. You claimed that El Slammo was one of the funnest ways you've been to. I was a little surprised.
I would say for Skim on the East Coast, it's a
Wow.
pretty special spot, my friend.
Which is
Pretty
kind of
special.
interesting because I think you're the only person that ever skimmed it.
I've talked to a couple other skimboarders out here, and they didn't even know this place. So
didn't even know it existed.
yeah, and I think you're kind of putting it on the map. So yeah, I'd like to see some more skim action there in the future.
Well, El Slammo's very special in a particular way because there's 5 peaks within 100-foot span.
Yeah,
There's deep bowl off the rocks, second peak, wide bowl, skim spot, and then the left.
yeah. My mind was spinning just looking at that place because from the beach you see it all too, right?
Yeah.
And that's what's kind of cool about skimboarding is you're reading waves from the beach rather than in the water. So you kind of have a bigger canvas almost. Like there's all these peaks at El Slammo, and my mind was just absolutely spinning, like trying to figure out which one's gonna be the right one to get you into the section or behind the little backdoor tube. So yeah.
Dude, I was actually kind of tripping because once the wave hit the rocks, it goes out, and then you found the wave as it was like the wave's actually this way, and then the face is that way, and you were finding that pocket right there.
Yeah.
Which, like, in a lot of ways I've never even looked at, which is really cool.
No, that's
cool to see.
That little, it's a grower. It's got the little refraction off the rock, and if you can kind of use that to your advantage, like get a little extra speed off that thing that puts you into the peak, you're pretty stoked because you have all the energy in the world.
It's a grower and a shower.
Yeah, to do whatever you like.
Dude, Slammo's probably firing right now.
Yeah, that's another thing.
Wow, we're missing it. Our luck with the tides have been really off this trip.
The signings have been putting us out, but we've still done all right wave-wise, considering.
Oh, yeah. If we wake up at 4 a.m. tomorrow, we're going to be able to score before the contest. That's the dream.
We might have to put in some clips at the end of this just to...
Is that your claim?
Yeah, I think it's going to be all time.
Substantial evidence.
Yeah.
So, what's the deal with skimboarding?
Oh, man. That's a heavy question.
What do you mean? Who's the GOAT?
I would say that the OG original GOAT, and I think still to this day one of the most talented dudes to ever ride a Finless board is Bill Bryan. So not only skimboarding, but any board he rode, he was incredible at it. And yeah, he just did a lot of crossover into other sports, which I think helped earn the respect that skimboarding needed, because he was so good at other things. So snowboarders and surfers saw his raw talent on their board, and that was what kind of put skimboarding on the map, I think, early on.
I can back your claim because before I met you and Instagram became a big thing, Bill Bryan was actually the only skimboarder I've ever heard of.
Yeah.
Pretty much before Instagram. Yep. So before the past 6 years, he was like the only skimboarder I ever heard of. Also notable for the Zambezi River.
For sure.
Notable for, like you said, multiple board sports. Because, dude, I don't know if you remember this, because you're a little bit younger than me, but there was a brand called Alliance. And
yep, I remember.
I surfed for them, and Bill Bryan was the main guy on the team, and they dropped a movie. I wish I could remember the name of it.
I think I know exactly what it was.
But remember when surf companies used to give out DVDs?
Yes. I think it was like Best Trip Ever, maybe? The Alliance Best Trip Ever?
I'm not 100% sure.
I want to say that was it.
I'm hearing no bells ringing, but you could be spot on.
Yeah.
Anyway, I had the DVD, and he's riding everything: surfing, skimboarding.
Yeah.
He was actually doing some outer bar skimboarding, maybe in like Nicaragua or something in that movie.
Yeah. Was he getting towed in?
Yeah, towed in.
Yep.
Yeah. Pretty interesting stuff.
Yeah. He was surfing waves of consequence in that video too. Like, he was getting proper barreled on a shallow reef.
Yeah.
And just surfing incredibly too.
So I was very influenced by that movie. I ended up surfing for Alliance. I wanted to be punk rock in my life, and that was just what I was all about. So that was like a pleasure for me to surf for that company. But
cool to hear that Bill probably had a little bit of a influence on your life.
Yeah, well, if you go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, growing up, I take skim lessons from him, and he was a huge reason I progressed as fast as I did. I think those early on skim camps that I did with him, he was so encouraging and so positive towards like me struggling on any little trick that I was trying to do. He's like, "You got this!" Like, just really, really helped me step it up when I was young. And I think that kind of mentorship has been. I feel that responsibility now too. With the kids that I work with, and just with skimboarding in general. I think it's rad to get the next generation hyped on it. And that's one thing Bill taught me from a very young age.
Wow. Yeah, the thing that it was for me was just the novel of it, I guess, because I was always interested. Like, obviously, look what I did with my life. I surf novelty waves for a living, but I was always interested in that weird, quirky stuff. Like, so I preferred that video over like any other surf movie because it was so quirky and just like the waves didn't make any sense. Yeah. And that's kind of what there's a lot of that in skimboarding. Yeah. But so skimboarding is, I told you this earlier today, but for me, where I grew up as a kid, skimboarding was either a zap or a wooden gotcha skimboard that you would get at a beach store, not even a surf shop. Yep. And when we would skimboard, we would either run down the beach, go straight in very shallow water, put your hand down and do spinning 360s, or we would build a ramp, build up a thing of sand and put a boogie board on it and try to launch it. That was skimboarding.
Yeah. And I think that's what skimboarding is to most people these days as well. And I still will tell people I'm a skimboarder, and they're like, "Whoa, you like do 360s on the sand, or like what's going on?" Yeah, and it's kind of a hard thing to explain the skimboarding thing, and just it's evolved more into wave riding at a professional level, and that's why I love skimboarding, is because I can ride waves on a finless board and I guess get speed that maybe you couldn't otherwise when the waves are small.
Well, think about today. I mean, I could only ride down the line on a 7 or 8 foot soft top. Just ride down the line. Yeah. There was no room for me to be doing anything, and you were finding that pocket and just smashing it.
Yeah, no, it's I think that's kind of why I started skimboarding too, is because where I grew up was so much better for skimboarding than it was surfing. And I think on the East Coast in the summertime, it's there's a lot of days where it's probably better for skimboarding than it is surfing. So yeah, it's great to be able to create your own speed and then be able to do things that maybe you otherwise couldn't.
So surfing is now pretty damn famous. It's in the Olympics. It's really, really popular. It's a lot of pop culture these days, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. But surfing still is a sport where when it's a little different nowadays, but like, especially when I was a kid and I was like, oh yeah, I'm trying to be a pro surfer, people would be like, what are you talking about? Like, you can't surf in New Jersey. And it's like funny that surfing has that, and then skimboarding is even another level of like, there's like another further barrier that people not understanding what's going on.
Yeah.
Like surfing's already kind of unique, and then skimboarding's even like more unique.
Yeah. Yeah. I think skimboarding has really struggled to gain popularity. One, because of how difficult it can be to get into, and two, because I don't think there has been like a tour or like a really solid organization or even a big sponsor that like surfing has like surfing has so many different brands that are supporting it, and big reputable brands at that rate. And skimboarding's always been like a very grassroots kind of, almost more like family and community based.
Yeah.
And so there's probably 150 different skimboarding companies out there, and they're all battling for a very small piece of the pie. And I think what brings us all together at the end of the day is just the small community that we've created, and we almost maybe shoot ourselves in the foot with how much competition there is for how small we are.
Yeah. Competitive surfing has always had, it was the ASP, now it's the WSL. They got on that early, like in the 70s, and they kind of cornered the market. Yeah. Skimboarding is just wide open. There's like, I've seen multiple world championships in 1 year, and that always blew my mind because I didn't know what was going on. Yeah,
and there's no like qualifying tour for the United Skim Tour. That's the main it's the main competitive tour for skimboarding at the moment, and pretty much anyone, you could go enter the pro division, and I think that would maybe make a good vlog for you, buddy. I encourage Jamie to do it. I've encouraged a couple people to do it.
Jamie kind of rips though, dude.
Jamie does rip, and there's very few surfers who can like step on a skimboard and rip as hard as Jamie, or as hard as you. Like,
He's got it.
I've seen you hop on a board and you can figure it out because you know the Finless thing.
But what I do have is Finless, and I have run-ins, but I don't have skimboarding.
Yeah. But you've got two of the recipes for success. That's pretty much everything you need.
There's a few things that I'm really bad at. Skimboarding and golf are two of them. Brutal.
Yeah. Mine's ice skating.
How's your golf game?
Trash as well.
Garbage.
Yeah.
I haven't ice skated in a long time, but
yeah. I think kind of going back to the quick topic about competitive skimboarding is that there's a lot of room for growth, I think, in having a legitimate tour and a legitimate qualifier.
Dude, that might be something that you need to undertake.
Yeah, we'll see about that.
Blair Conklin's tour for young rippers.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm ready for that at the moment.
Yeah, but maybe one day.
Maybe one day.
So would you consider yourself second generation skim?
Man.
How many generations are there?
There's been quite a few. I think skimboarding started in the 30s, actually.
Oh, wow.
In Laguna Beach.
Wow.
So there was, the claim was that there's lifeguards that were using wooden planks as transportation, and they'd use it to slide across the beach to like get from one place to another.
Sounds slower.
If you're going at Ben Gravy's running rate. But yeah, so I think I'm probably about the 5th generation, 6th generation.
Gnarly.
Yeah.
Dude, you know Duke Kahanamoku brought surfing to the East Coast to Atlantic City. Really? Atlantic City is the first place surfed on the East Coast by Duke Kahanamoku.
Wow. That's pretty cool. And
pretty
that was
baffling.
Probably in the, what would you say, 50s or?
Dude, you know what?
It might have been.
This is why we have a Google. Yeah. Because there's too much information in the world nowadays. Our brains can't hold it.
I was just reading a book on, it's called Hawaiian Surf Riding.
1916.
Holy
Duke Kahanamoko went on a Red Cross fundraising tour of the East Coast, and he gave a surfing expedition in Atlantic City and then Coney Island, New York.
Wow.
1916. We've been shredding.
Dang.
He probably came, did it, and then like left and no one picked it up.
Yeah.
Because my grandma said like people weren't really surfing until like the 60s.
Dang.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I started reading a couple pages from this book called Hawaiian Surf Rider or Hawaiian Surf Riding. And it kind of talks about the history of the Hawaiian culture and how it was a part of almost a part of their like government at the time to be a surfer, and it's what the kings did, and just the evolution of surfboards has been really interesting. And I think all the different types of wood that they started using, and now even there's new types of wood being used in finless riding and in surfing. It's interesting to see that material is still being used, and I think there's kind of some more room for us going back to like more sustainable materials like the Hawaiians were doing from the get-go, and there's some interesting woods out there to make boards out of.
Surfboards kind of weird. Like I get tripped out on surfboards because like I don't know if you ever saw the video when I was riding the plywood.
Yep.
And like people were like, "Whoa, dude, that's crazy!" All this stuff, and I was like, "Dude, like it's honestly like." That's what they did before. Like it was like that's what they did. They just rode wood. But it's nuts that like I could get a ride on a piece of plywood that's like not a bad ride.
Not at all.
And like we put so much emphasis into high tech surfboards. Yeah. And I think that's part of the soft top thing. Mm-hmm. We blow people's minds because it's like if you get on a soft top, you're thinking, oh, this thing's junk. It's for beginners, whatever. And it's like I can do almost the same thing that a lot of surfers can do on a soft top that they can do on an $1,100 board.
Exactly. Yeah. Everything's so performance driven in the surfing world now. And I think where you have probably found most success and where I've found most success is riding the untraditional boards or the non-performance boards.
Totally.
And I love getting used to a board that is uncommon for people to ride and push the boundaries of what's possible on that. Whether it's a skimboard or a boogie board or that kind of thing. That's most fun for me.
To me, that's what surfing is. Like, because a lot of people get caught up and like, it's so funny to see people be like, oh, soft tops. Yeah. And it's like, dude, it's a really good experience, not only for like your surfing, but like for your soul to like get on something that maybe isn't supposed to be the most rippable board ever, like a 7-foot log and getting absolutely drained on a 7-foot log. Yeah. Like you really had to wrangle that thing to like find that.
You surprise yourself.
It's pretty wild.
That's the biggest allure to it. The most fun thing about it to me these days.
I also found that riding the 8 and the 7 has helped me surf on a fiberglass board because
the rail.
Yeah, dude.
About is that what you were going to say?
Well, I was going to say, like, using those back rails, you learn how to maneuver the board. You need to use the rail. Yeah. So when you get on a short board, it comes very easily.
For sure.
But I think I've told you this before. Like, the 8-footers, like, made me a better surfer. Like,
yeah. I think it teaches you how to do turns on a rail.
Like proper turns. Because if you're not using your rail on an 8-foot board, there's no way the board's going from this direction back to that direction.
Yep.
Pretty interesting.
Yeah, and the rail on your softboards is the same as the back rail on a performance surfboard, right? They're both a D rail, and they kind of get sharp.
I'm loving those Ds, dude. Straight 90-degree angles.
Yeah, the D rails are where it's at.
The D rail and the 7 just nuts. Grab rail, just lay into it, dreaming.
Yeah,
dude, I've seen you hit some fiberglass sessions before.
Yeah, every once in a while, I get gifted a fiberglass board and I don't destroy it right away. So I have one board actually from a Florida shaper. It's a lemon tree surfboard, and he's been sending me boards every once in a while. I really enjoy riding them in certain situations where I'm not gonna break them right away.
I think you did a complete rotation, not a slob, the opposite. Back melon grab.
I think it was a stale.
A stale fish.
Stale. That might have been one of my favorite
BSR
things I've done on a surfboard.
That was nuts.
I was stoked. It wasn't a complete rotation, but I did like a little 180s.
It was psycho.
And I got the stale. I actually got the stale grab, which felt awesome. And yeah, we kind of rode out of it. So I do enjoy riding a fiberglass board every once in a while, but there's certain most of the waves I ride are so much better for softboards or
yeah, dude. My thing is like if I ride the 410 or a 20 or something for too long, and then I get on a fiberglass board, I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah.
This thing's huge. Well, I don't even need the other 2 feet on the like.
Yeah.
Why do I need all this?
Yep. Yeah.
And it takes a while to have the patience because like when you're going into a turn on the 54 special, you're like, wow.
Yeah.
If you do a shortboard, you have to take the time to get through that turn.
Yeah.
It's pretty weird.
Yeah. Everything's a little bit more like maybe you got to do everything a little bit more drawn out on a shortboard that's a little longer.
It can look good though.
Yeah.
And then you get those sessions where you think it looks good and it looks like garbage. And then sometimes I think I'm looking like terrible and like the clips are like sick and it's like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
Yeah. You pretty well-known guy in these parts out here in these streets. But like
Jersey.
I don't think that I don't know, like you don't talk that much. Like I feel like not a lot of people really know what makes Blair Conklin tick. So my interest is what drives you to wake up in the morning and do what you do, and why have you chosen this path?
Yeah. Well, I think you have been a big inspiration for me, like Beefs as well. I think that kind of creating your own path that doesn't already exist has really like that's been a fun challenge for me to take on. In skimboarding, there hasn't been like that many successful skimboarders or even skimboarders that can make a living off of what they're doing. And once I saw kind of what your angle was with YouTube and how Beefs was making videos and that kind of thing, I really was inspired to try and make skimboarding work for me and to even just try and get the sport to grow a little bit. So that's what gets me excited every morning and what keeps me driven to kind of keep evolving what I'm doing and keep reinventing the Finless board riding thing and hopefully inspire the next generation to want to get into skimboarding and maybe have a platform that will allow them to turn it into a career. So I think, that's the main thing.
So like, what was Blair Conklin thinking at like 18 years old? Graduated high school.
At 18 years old, my parents were all about me getting into a good college and pursuing further education out of high school, and I think that was my main focus from all of my high school career was get the grades to go to a college and hopefully get a good job outside of college. And I was able to swing getting into a good college and really was passionate about what I was studying at Berkeley, and then I always very, I wouldn't say distracted, but I was always really still in love with the ocean and kept on surfing throughout my college career and kept on skimboarding. I actually did the best in the United Skim Tour during my college career, and I think it was because I was so ocean deprived when I was at school that when I got to the beach, I was so frothed and so excited that I like put 110% into everything I was doing, especially in competitive skimboarding. And then I realized that coming out of college, I was probably going to go into like an environmental consulting job, and I would be in an office. And I had spent so much time at the desk and labs and stuff at school. I just decided to take a break and see if I could make the skimboarding thing work. And thank God I did.
So, was there ever a point after college when you were like, all right, I'm going to be a skimboarder, and then you're like, oh man, maybe I'm not going to be a skimboarder? Like,
yeah. I think I didn't even like think I was gonna ever be able to make it off of skimboarding or off of like being a pro surfer. Like that was something I thought maybe out of college, like maybe I have a chance at like getting on the tour or something.
Especially at that point out of college, you're 22, right? Or 23, whatever it is.
Yeah.
You're already shot in pro surfing pretty much, like by the old school standards.
For sure. And that was my only hope out of college. Yeah, like, oh, maybe I can still compete and make a career out of this.
So what you have a comfortable living now, like you're pretty consistent like with your living. Like when do you think the switch flipped and you're like, all right, like if I continue down these paths, like I'm gonna be fine?
I think the switch flipped when Catch Surf brought me on their team. Yeah. And I was able to, afford the basic needs of living in Laguna Beach, which is not that basic. Yeah. Pretty extreme basic. It's pretty expensive to be able to maintain and live there. But they have been my biggest supporters throughout my career. Yeah. And they were also supportive of me and my skimboarding background. Like they saw that as a huge plus in me riding other boards such as the beater or the smaller boards, the 54 special, that kind of thing. Those boards always felt so good to me because of what I was able to do on a skimboard. Yeah, interesting. So ever since they brought me onto the team and started helping me out, I really put all my effort into trying to make it into a living. So
you've known Catch Surf, like you've kind of been involved with Catch Surf since you were in high school, right?
Yeah, I remember walking into their office and being introduced to Johnny and Chris when they were next to XL Skimboards. Which is, okay. So they were literally in when they first started, they're in this small little warehouse right next to my main skimboarding sponsor, and they were making all of their boards in-house
in the U.S.
In the U.S., the Y Quad, and I literally think Johnny and some of the guys, Bill, were manufacturing making the boards there. So,
well, this is all just so connected. It's crazy, dude.
Yeah, it was pretty wild, and so I went into their office, had a meeting with Johnny Redmond and Chris.
Who brought you in there?
I went in with my dad.
Just randomly?
My sponsor at XL was like, "Hey, you should come meet these guys. They're making softboards," and I was already riding softboards when I went surfing.
Yeah, okay.
I did not ride a hardboard until.
And you're what, in 10th grade at this point?
Man, I was still in high school. Yeah. Yeah. I was riding crummy softboards, and then I was given one of the Y Quads from Catch Surf, and that was the start of the soft rev for me. Yeah,
I mean, the Catch is super. It's funny because it's the complete opposite of my story, because I met Beefs pretty much when I was 25. Yeah. It's I haven't been involved for that long. Pretty wild. But
it's crazy to see where they've come in just the last 7 years.
Dude, but I can say looking back, when I was a kid, or younger, not even a kid, in high school, out of high school, in college, Catch Surf was it. Yeah. I mean, Catch Surf's still it. Yeah. These tours are crazy. Yeah. For a surf company to put these tours on, wild. When I was a kid, looking back, I'd be, dude, Johnny and Kalani are top of the game. Yeah. And it's so funny because you put these guys up against the world's best surfers on the WSL. I used to love Parko, but I love Johnny and Kalani just as much. Yeah. And it's so funny that it's like that.
Even comparable.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and then, I mean, my anomaly of a career has come together, and I still trip out that people are like stoked to come see us. Yeah. I'm like, this is wild.
Yeah. I think what you have done a really good job of opening my eyes about is the reason there's so many people rallying behind you, and the reason that like these signings have lines of 50 to 100 people every time is because every single person that comes to these meet and greets are fans that you have provided like value to, or you have really gone out of your way to brighten their lives in a sense, and whether it's teaching them something about surfing or just putting a smile on their face for your daily or every other day vlogs, like they like live and breathe what you're about and the positivity that you put out there, and that's what separates you from, I think, so many people on the tour and so many other surfers. So that was a very cool thing for me to see, and I'm so thankful to even be like connected with you through this offboarding thing, because it really inspired me to do more of the same in skimboarding and and help people out in any way I can.
Honored.
But I'm still got a ways to go.
Don't we all?
Yeah.
Dude, that's amazing, Blair. Thanks.
Yeah.
But
can I ask you a question?
Talk to me.
Yes, sir. So I've recently learned about the little charity, the fundraising event you're doing for epilepsy and that kind of thing, and just curious if you plan on doing more of charity or more of supporting nonprofits, and if this is just the beginning for you with the epilepsy.
Oh yeah, I always have low key behind the scenes like just donated money to things that I believe in, and I always donate my clothing and old surfboards and everything that I can possibly do. There's a lot of really cool opportunities around here. The South Jersey board riders always do board drives and all this stuff, and so I really have wanted to get active with giving back, and I've considered starting a charity, but I don't know if I'm like ready to take it on. So I just doing something simple right now, just raising money in a raffle for a hat, and all the money's going to go to epilepsy. Yeah. And another cool thing that I'm doing is we're doing a harder surfing event with the Hard Rock Casino in Atlantic City, and for me it's like a really big part of it all to make sure that I'm leaving a smile kind of on everyone's face as I go through this this whole process, because I feel really blessed to be able to do what I do, and if I can give back to stuff like that and help raise awareness, that's
awesome. What's the organization that's is it like surfers
might be called Surfers Healing.
That's what I think I've heard of that organization.
Yeah.
Before. Yep.
So
is that the one at the Hard Rock?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
And
that's awesome.
So we're doing that, and then I'd love to just do more fundraising and stuff. Just I like to see money going to good places, really.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's my goal within the next few years, is to get to a point, or not to get to a point, but just find some really cool cause to support and do that as much as I can. So Surfers Healing, I think, is a really cool organization to work with, though.
Yeah. Sweet. Dude, I wish I could dive deeper. That ran really quickly.
Yeah.
We're already at 35 minutes, but ladies and gentlemen, Blair Conklin, we have to get to Farias in Long Beach Island for a poster signing. So hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. Thank you for watching. We're back. I'm trying to go weekly. Round of applause for Mr. Conklicker.
Thanks for having me, Dreamers, and thanks for having me, Ben.
Dude, stoked.
Really
and we'll see you next video for the dream.
Peace.